All right, well, in compliance with the Village of Ashcroft audio and video recording of council meetings policy number A01-2019, this is to advise that permission has been granted to the Hub online network to record and live stream today's council meeting. Those present in the gallery who do not wish to be recorded, you may move to another seat at this time. The village asks that the Hub online network be respectful of those participants not wishing to be recorded. Our first delegation tonight from Tech Highland Valley Copier has indicated that they do not wish to be recorded, so the Hub online network will be able to start recording when that delegation has been finished their presentation. So I call this meeting of Ashcroft Council for Monday, December 9th, 2019 to order. The first is adoption of tonight's agenda. Move to adopt as presented. Second by Councillor Toohey. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I declare on the question then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. We have the minutes of the regular meeting of council held Tuesday, November 25th. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing and hearing none, I declare them adopted as presented. And our first delegation is from Tech Highland Valley Copper. We have Jackie Schneider, Peter Martel, and Charlene Van Dien. All right, so the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually I'm sure, welcome, thank you for having me. I'm sure a lot of you see on social media that there's been quite a big interest within the community about having a Christmas tree. So actually Ryan Laker sort of brought up the idea, but he's out of town today. So our sort of initial thing, and lots of people have been emailing us and talking about it and stuff, was to do something at the park. And maybe start off small next year with lighting up a tree or doing something, and maybe Highland Valley Copper to light up their truck. But you know, there's a lot of people that are interested in forming a group. Our concern is being in the park, which is village property. What are, you know, I'm sure there's a big concerns with the council on liability and who's putting the lights up and who's paying for it and all that kind of stuff. So our first initial thought was maybe some of the businesses like would take a tree, like maybe even the Lions would take a tree and pay for it to be decorated and so on. And we could start off next year with maybe just doing a little bit and having it as a separate event from the parade. There was some concern with the people that put on the parade that how do you manage all of that in one night? So maybe have it earlier and it's opening the Christmas season and we light up the tree and we could, you know, have some more things going on in Ashcroft, and you know, the businesses could stay open maybe an hour late, or you know, there's all kinds of possibilities there. So that's our biggest concern, is to throw it at you guys and see what the liabilities are, what your concerns are. We are going to form a group probably in January. Just, I mean, if it doesn't work on village property, we can maybe look at a private property, you know, on the main street somewhere that could facilitate that. But I think there's all kinds of possibilities. Our end dream is to have the park as a winter wonderland, right? Which can't happen in 1 year, but every year we could sort of build on it and maybe decorate the information center like a church and, you know, make it into a big thing, but that can't happen overnight. So that's just sort of where we're at, and any feedback, and let us know what you think and what we should do and how we can make it happen.
Great, well thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, surround yourself, they aren't getting away that easily.
I don't really have a question, but I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a real compliment to our little village.
I think so, and there's a lot of places that have a Christmas tree, right? That a Christmas lighting night, and there's all things that could go with that, like caroling and you know, sort of the old type things, right? I mean, maybe we could do that, light the tree and then go walk around town caroling or something. I mean, it's what the people want to do is what we'll, once we get this group together, right? So, but I know with like village property, there is some things that you have to look into. We can't just say, oh yeah, let's just go light a tree, right? So, yeah, but if you could get back to us, that'd be great.
Great. Well, in Spence's Bridge, they do that. They don't have quite the same restrictions that we do, but they have the Christmas tree light up at the lookout, and they have hot cider and sing Christmas carols, and that's how they kick off their Christmas
season
in Spence's Bridge.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it would be fun to do here. Yeah.
Councillor Davenport.
Thank you. And I do like the idea of a winter wonderland, that area, the whole park. I can envision that.
I can too. Like I can't envision it happening overnight, but
Yeah.
I think starting small and then every year, you know, so I think if we started small and every year people are going to get on board, It's sort of like the parade, right? We didn't, people sort of, oh, that was great, I'm gonna put in a float, you know, and maybe somebody will say, well, I'll take a tree, or I'll take the little cabin, or the biggest thing that we sort of thought might become an obstacle if we get all of this stuff is where are we gonna store it,
Right, yeah, sure.
right? That's going to be an issue, but we can always worry about that later. Barb's got a big basement, I hear.
Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Rowan, and also cleanup.
Yes.
That would be something to
Mhm.
consider, because that's probably where everybody's interest lanes.
Oh, I know, that's a huge issue with any event is, you know, setting up and cleaning up, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
Great idea.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
This will come up at a future council meeting
Yeah.
on the agenda for discussion by council, but thank you very much for the presentation and for bringing it forward.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we move on to correspondence, and the first item is item number 5.1, which is a letter from Steve Takis asking with a proposal for a bylaw amendment. And I would make a motion that we write to Mr. Takis advising him that we are unable to amend a bylaw for only one property. Thank you. Any discussion on this? Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, as much as I sympathize with their situation, at the same time, we have to, it's gotta be fair for all. And there are other properties, I mean, other people would come forward, I think, if we kind of broke the rules now. And there would be other people that might wanna come forward as well that have more physical disabilities or things along that line. And then the question would come up, what about the vacant lots? There's no access, there's no storefront, there's nothing there. No driveway, why would they have to? And so I just think that it's not something that we can manage.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments on this? I should just point out too that on the bottom of page 6, where Mr. Takis says to me, we would have liked you to have responded to our letter. I was responding to everything that came directly to me from Mr. Takis, but he forwarded me a copy of a letter which he had sent to Better at Home, and he wanted me to respond to Better at Home regarding that. And I just said that as a private correspondence between you and Better at Home. So. Councillor Davenport.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that there are, in fact, this situation, I did, I don't know if it was last year or the previous year, there are a number of folks around who will shovel driveways, and this is a situation where I suggested somebody who did it for Steve Takis and Teresa. So that's a situation that can be, you know, can be helped out in some way by them getting to other people to do it. Unfortunately, sometimes it does cost a bit of money, but it's a corner lot, and we just can't, as you said, do it for one person.
And unfortunately, on the issue of paying, Foreman Brian Benowith brought to our attention earlier this year the cost, the substantial increase in the cost of providing a service for all sidewalks in Ashcroft. It would be a tremendous tax increase and burden for every resident of Ashcroft, regardless of whether you have a sidewalk in front of your property or premise or not. So one way or another, there would be payment. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. And there's really no real communities left that clean the sidewalks for their residents. Like even Vancouver, everybody looks after their sidewalks and so on. So, and like you say, it would be a tremendous cost to the taxpayer. You can't do it for one, it would have to apply to everybody.
Any further discussion on the question? Councillor Dewey.
Thank you, Mayor Rogan. Yeah, I agree, and I have a big double lot, and we're both seniors, and it's one of those things that bugs us each year. But, I mean, I understand the situation, and as far as the taxpayer having to pay, I think we have other priorities that would be way more important than making sure the sidewalks are cleaned off for, you know, people that are walking by. And I think, you know, if we were to talk nicely to a few neighbors or even the people, you know, the Villa Frontier, there might be something that he could work out at a very
did suggest to him twice this year at different times that he contact whoever was contracted to do the sidewalk in front of Villa Frontera and ask if there was a possibility of some arrangement being made. I don't know if he has pursued that or not. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then on the question, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Item number, there is no item 5.2, so for information, we move on to 5.3, a letter received from Ashcroft Terminal regarding Desert Sands Community School students and correspondence received from them. What is council's pleasure on this? Councilor Anderson.
I'll make the motion to receive and file.
Thank you. Second, Councilor Anstead. Thank you very much. And just like to point out here that Mr. Jim Duncan just wants to stress that at no point has he suggested that the Evans Road walking trail extend into Ashcroft Terminal property. Councilor Tui.
I do believe though that there was a field trip that went down there from the school. And I think it is important for our whole community to understand the severity of going onto the terminal property. I mean, we've discussed it many times how it's properly marked, and I know it's hard for people to adjust to that and to change to that, but I think if we are cooperative with the terminal at some point when the construction is done, possibly then we can move forward on working with them for something, because I know that property is not going to be of much value to them, but while they're doing construction, it's just not safe for people to be down there. And I think this is a strongly worded letter, and you know, I've tried to talk to people myself and get it across to them. You know, we want the industry, we want the community to grow, and that's important. So we have to cooperate with the people at the terminal, and I think that's really important to put that message across to people.
I'm glad they've, Councillor Anstead, you're next. I think it's really good that they have reached out to the school and offered to come in with that education component. And the other piece of the puzzle, of course, is that people are to access the sloop crossing at the CN main line, where there is no crossing. And I was at I'm part of the Operation Lifesaver Committee, and at a recent meeting, we were asked to bring up concerns. I did voice that. Someone from CN is going to be in town, I think early in the new year, and I did outline the suggestion to him in an email about what is happening, the danger, the letter from the school, students wanting to go out there, and seeing if there wasn't some way that CN could possibly go to the school as well to provide that education piece. Councillor Anstead.
I pretty much just was going to echo what the Councillor T had said and finish off what you had said there. It is a federal offense to cross a major railroad line. Not only for legal aspect, but your safety is at great risk as well. With construction down there as well, it's just a accident waiting to happen. And if you eliminate that part of the equation, then you don't have to worry about people getting hurt and they can go along with their job. So like Councillor T said, I think we need to support industry in town, because you know, without industry around our little community needs stuff like this around. So in order to thrive, we need to have these businesses in our area. We need to support them.
Thank you. Councillor Davenport.
Thank you, Marilyn. And just one point too, because I went to the Ashcroft Terminal Information day that they had, and they let us know that the lower section of that area is going to be starting to work on in springtime. So that might be something that we perhaps, if we could direct staff at that point, or we, you know, may come up again to have a reminder that around that time is really important for folks to just adhere to all these rules that we have to abide by. I mean, we all like the slough, but right now it's going through a transition that we all have to respect, I suppose.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On the motion, then, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item number 5.4, information correspondence listing to December 9th. Councillor Anstett.
Motion to receive and file.
Receive and file, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Anderson, thank you very much. Any discussion on any of the items here? The TNRD press release about music in the atrium, they did put out a call for local musicians, and they were looking specifically for choirs at that point, and I suggested the Sage Sound Singers, but because they haven't had an opportunity to rehearse a Christmas concert this year, they had to decline, so that would have been, and the logistics of getting 20 people into Kamloops is tough. All right, on the question then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Unfinished business, we have the motions list, very comprehensive, pages 11 to 13. What is council's pleasure? Councillor Anderson.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the list.
Receive and file, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tui, thank you very much. Anything to discuss here? Questions, comments? Thank you to staff for being so thorough and following up on everything and seeing it all laid out, meeting after meeting, everything that's taking place and all the other things. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but thank you very much. And Councillor Anderson, I saw your hand up.
I was echoing the
Okay.
same thing.
Any further discussion? On the motion then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. We have no new business, we have no bylaws. We move to item 9.1, pages 14 to 19, which is the declaration of fire service level. And I will move the staff recommendation that council approves policy number 5.1, declared fire operations service level. Councillor Anderson, second, thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Anstett, I believe I'm correct in saying that this has not come up, it has not come from the fire department
No,
previously?
this is from the province.
Right. And it has not previously come to council from the fire department?
No.
Thank you for the policy, thank you for the clarification. Is there any further discussion? No? Seeing none then on the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 9.2, request for support for an intern application, Northern Development Initiative Trust, page 20. Councillor Anderson.
So I'll make a motion for the option 1, the council approves staff to apply for the grant to host an intern in 2020.
Thank you very much. Councillor Davenport, second. CEO Jensen.
Worship, if I could just, the motion that we need from council is actually the recommendation, because NDIT has very specific wording they require in their application, so I shortened it for the purpose of options, but the actual motion needs to be the longer one.
So is it acceptable to move the staff recommendation, or does, okay,
So I'll move to the staff recommendation.
thank you. And I still have Councillor Davenport seconding that, thank you. Any discussion on this? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you. I think it's very important to, because the staff have a lot on their plate. And so it's very important to be able to get someone in place to help them.
Some of you might remember our former DCO Ethan Anderson. He came to us as part of the NDIT intern program. It was very, very successful. So it is an excellent program. It gives people a really good grounding in local government, and some of them decide they want to continue on, and some of them decide it isn't actually for them after all, but it's a good time to find out. So I think this would be a valuable addition to the village and to staff. Councillor Tui?
Just a question, so is the wages paid 100% from NDIT, or do we supplement that?
CEO Yancy?
NDIT pays for 3/4 of the salary, and they provide $5,000 towards professional development. So what the village is required to do is pick up that 25% of the salary for the intern.
Any further discussion? No? On the motion, and all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 9.3, the 2020 council meeting dates. There is your life for the next 12 months. Councillor Toohey.
I move that we go with the staff recommendation that council approve the 2020 meeting dates and schedule.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Anstead. Any discussion on this? No? On the question, then all those in favor, opposed, carried. All right, we have presentation first on budget from CFO Bella.
Okay, I'll get started.
Music.
That's an ambitious PowerPoint. You've got an audio background too.
Watching a movie.
Uh-oh.
You laughed too soon.
Oh, he can do it.
So it's time for the financial update. We're close to the end of the year. The auditor was here earlier today, giving the interim report. The year has flown. I was just smiling when I saw the next year's schedule. Things have moved fast this year. So first thing I'll get into is the financials. I have updated BI reports, and those are accessible to you. I'll just log in and walk through that and then show you where we are.
CFO Bala, was that Scrooge on the presentation?
I'm getting into the Christmas spirit.
At least he's not green.
He wants that car, though, I can tell.
Doesn't want to give me a moment. So this is how you access the report. You log in and go into the BI reports. The asset management reports are also, and I'll cover those as well today. So that's a summary of our financials. Looks green, good. Some of the, I'll focus on the red parts. Environmental health services. That one, I'll make this bigger, is being driven by that $124,000 overage, and that's because of our garbage truck needing repairs. And that pushed that into the negative. That's just the nature of that model of truck. So every few years we get this hit where something goes into the fuel system and it needs to be fixed. So we've had those expenses. The garbage was, the schedule had to be changed a little bit while we were fixing that a couple of weeks ago. So that's driving that. Overall though, we are under budget. We're doing fine. Great. If I look at, I'll go back because I was looking at that section. So overall we are, this is the budget, this is where we are. So we're close to the end of the year. There's only 1 month for things to go wrong. No, just kidding. Things are going fine, and it's good to be in this position before the end of the year. This one, this red spot here, the darker red, that's fiscal services, and that, if I sort by the variance, that's just deferred revenue pushing it down, and it's just the structure of financials. It's more a financial entry. It shows that 17,000 over, 14 of that was deferred revenue. So This is not it's revenue which is kind of like an expense because we postpone it, right? So that's more a timing thing, and year-end entries clean up some of that stuff as well. So overall good, same situation with us, so that was a general operating fund, our sewer operating as well. We're fine, and we're, in both cases, close to budget, so, or overall balanced, right? So not bad for all the different things which have been going on. I could drill down further, make this come, but I'll go back up. So you're always able to drill down in your reports and look at what's causing, and the numbers pop up on both ends. So this one looks, collection and treatment looks a bit red, and you can see what's causing it when you drill down. This is the button to drill down. And if you click on that, the financials will pop up on this end. And there's some O&M costs which have pulled that into the negative. Operating and maintenance, sorry, my acronyms. Please correct me every time I jump into acronyms. And then there are other things which offset that. The size of the thing is how big it is in comparison. So we drill down a fair bit. Let's just move up a little bit. And so overall, we are up $193. So right on budget. So that's the sewage operating fund. Any questions there? And water operating fund, I've excluded the project costs because, of course, a $10 million project really outweighs the operating side. So I pull out those accounts to show you these reports. So again, we're doing fine. If I drill down a bit, and these are all the things. So we are over by 60,000 overall. Let me just click on this. I don't like how it's displayed, but because I drilled down too far. So overall, fine. Still, variance is positive. So all three primary accounts are in good shape for us, and that's the expense side. The revenue side remains pretty static. We can look at that, but generally there's a little bit of overage on the revenue. So, one of the things I do towards the end of the year is look at things and make sure things are getting recorded properly, move things around because sometimes they get coded to wrong accounts, make sure we're doing okay cash flow wise, make sure we're doing okay expense wise, and what are the areas which are going. So overall we look good. Any questions? Anytime go in and look at details, and if you have questions, you can always come into my office and chat with me if there's you want details about a specific item. So this new deal gas tax one right on top, I'll make it bigger. That's what they're still supposed to pay us, $67,000. Okay, that's why it looks red, because I'm still waiting for that payment. And I just got notice that they will pay us before the end of the year. So. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. There's been a lot of work on asset management been happening, and I'm pleased to say it's finished and in production. So the BI website is, I'll just get this going then. Okay, that side is done, and I'll show you that report first. And that, switching back from these reports, I'll go back into my workspace. I won't cover everything in detail because I'll keep you here for most of the night. But similar to the financial reports, the BI reports are done. And this is the summary of our assets. We've got 52 million approximately. Divided into different categories. This excludes the water treatment plant because that's work in progress still. Like it's not fully, and it'll probably come into the financials next year because we just got the extension for the project, by the way. So it's going well, and this just shows our assets Once we add it, of course, the building values will shoot up because that'll be a 8 million building value and different equipment. So that's the split of our assets. So huge part is buildings, roads are huge, then structures are basically buildings without, not for people, right? Things like pump houses and engine lift stations. This is our potable water assets and wastewater assets. So you can see how the municipality is split into different categories, right? I mean, we are basically a asset-heavy organization, right? We run all the village assets. People don't realize how much we have in assets and how much is in underground assets, how much it requires. And that's why there's been such a focus on asset management, just to get a handle on things. And so we finished now the program, and this is more risk split of where it is, probability of failure and average consequence. More, there's some which are high up, and that's really water structures like the lift station which we're getting replaced.
Station is not water.
I mean, sewer structures or water structures, both of them, but some of the ones with high risk, because the consequence is high, right? That causes the overall risk to be high. So that's how it's played out. Generally, it falls in the moderate range, and the size of the circle is how much it is as a constituent of our. The other thing is most of our assets are in moderate condition, so critical is way down. We don't have anything in critical which should be looked at right away, and then there's a little bit in very good condition, mostly in fair condition. Okay. This is when our assets were constructed, and you would see 1960s, 1980s, so most of our assets are old. Any questions on this? This is an overall summary of where we sit. A lot of data behind this. At the end of it, this report comes from a fair amount of data running in the background. On the risk analysis side, it's more, you can drill down and look at risks in different categories, and that kind of helps define risks. Reservoirs, you can see different structures, pump stations, lift stations. I was talking about that red area. And that's because mostly, not because the condition is terrible, the consequence of failure is high, so it causes a higher risk score. And this is a relative risk score, so anything which is highest will get a red, and lowest will get a green. So kind of the color seems to exaggerate it a little bit, but it still shows. So it's an analysis, I can use to drill down and look at things, and you as well, if you're so inclined, can look at things in more detail. It drills down. Some financial reports are current replacement costs and real depreciation. Real depreciation is the current replacement value divided by how many years it's going to last. So actual real depreciation. This is a really interesting graph. I'll make it bigger. I need to get the other mouse on because laptop mouse is a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, so this is the current replacement cost, and this is where how much is depreciation. So most of our assets are depreciated as per, most of the way as per the replacement value. So it kind of mirrors the time when they were constructed and how long the engineering lives were. And this kind of shows that we've used up a lot of our asset base. So we need to pay attention to setting up reserves to be replacing things. At some point it will start hitting. Asset renewal profile is, I'm not going to jump through. This tells you when the assets are going to be renewed at different points. I don't want to get into too much detail, but all of this data helps us decide. There is a process which feeds into our budget process where we look at the 5-year renewal, what's coming up for renewal in the next 5 years, and then we export that out into our Excel, and then that fits into our 10-year capital plan we are going, and that's that part of it, right? And we're looking at different areas, asset groups, buildings, so this helps. So all this data which is on assets, it gets filtered out into our annual review process, so it links together closely, so there's no disconnect. So we're looking at what's coming due. So when I see, say, it says curling club needs to be replaced, I will look at the building, look at the actual condition of the building. So engineering life is one thing, real condition is another. So that makes me go focus, say, okay, how is the actual condition? So then I adjust the remaining life, or I say, oh yeah, it's going to fall. So let's get it fixed. Not that it's going to fall. But I actually look at it, have a discussion with Brian, actually look at the condition, and then we set the budget of what is necessary. So it's a rolling process. Otherwise, if you're looking at 60 years of data, how do you handle it? We handle it in 5-year rolling increments. That's a process I've come up with as a practical way to link it to our budget and to actually look at assets as they're maturing and to actually examine their condition. We are fortunate, I should say, that our assets have been maintained well, and they're living way beyond the engineering lives. And and there's some analysis required, like buildings, though engineering life says it needs to be replaced. Really, you don't replace a building, you refurbish it and make it. It's really infinite life if you keep on, looking after it. In rare times, you might have to demolish a building, but that's rare. Right, so. And then there's a fair bit of cash flow analysis, and this is tying into the 10-year capital budget. And you can look at cash flow on each end. What happens. The line is the cumulative, and that's what's happening on a yearly basis. It looks negative is good because it's reserves. It's hard to explain, but our reserves run in negative as things set aside, and the cash inflows and outflows will change it. So that's how it. And so I can look at any fund. I can look at fire reserves, for example. Okay, we've been consistently adding. This thing here was a loan. We've been consistently paying it off. Our reserves are consistently increasing. So things like that, which gets me to have a good handle on it. When you're looking at spreadsheets, it's really hard to, everything looks the same. It's really hard to manage it. Where visually, this paints a very clear picture on what's happening on our cash flow. So that helps us manage it. Asset Smart Score is nice graphic. Asset Smart Score is something the province mandates us on all these different areas where we are, and so we started keeping score, and this was conducted right before we started. Green is before the asset management stuff was done, and this is where the targets are reached. So it's a way of keeping score and keeping the province happy. So there's a fair amount of compliance reporting for asset management now. Every grant we would not qualify until we can give an asset management report. So every grant now, gas tax fund or UBCM grant, they require a municipality to show progress in asset management. So a lot of municipalities are struggling to do this. We are fortunate that we have systems in place to actually report. So I hope it helps us get more attention and grants, but they seem happy with our reporting. So okay, that's enough for asset management. I could keep going on the BI side. So back to showed you that, and anytime you want, I'm a nerd in that way, that I'm into this a lot, so anytime you're welcome to come in my office and talk about it. So the other is, this link to Excel is the 10-year plan. front, right? That's the 10-year capital plan extending to 20-year, and that feeds back to the BI. You saw those reports, and you access these reports on your own. You can access them on your own PCs. The central database is the one which we've set up on the cloud, and so it links to all these sources. All of them are centralized in this one. I should call it an asset registry, but it's a little bigger than that. It tracks everything happening, including, any, and I can show you, including any web access and how Public Works would be recording things. We'll go right straight to the database. This here is the mapping area, and it's called QGIS. It's the open source alternative to the proprietary software, which would cost us probably $60,000. So on an annual basis. So all of this has been done at basically costing us cost of servers and time. So in terms of, maybe I should cancel that. Didn't want me to cancel it. Asset management would have been, the database side of things would have been anything from 7 to 20,000 a year. Whoops, it's better to exit because I want to write on it. We've done that. So let me get the time going. So that's done. Our GIS software, that's done. Our BI software, that's on, you saw the reporting on that end. Web access, I'll show you next. That's done. Staffing, there was no additional staffing. Typically, municipalities have been hiring 1 or 2 more people to do it. And it's at a, GIS professionals are paid quite well. With benefits included, about 90,000 per person, right? So we got that done. So, and we did not spend anything on consulting this year. When we started out, there was a bit of, with a grant, we got going just to gather all the GIS data, which was sitting in urban systems, and pulling it all together. So on average, we are avoiding costs between 90,000 to in wages to 180 and 35,000 a year in software costs, and that's on the low end. And on the startup side, it would have been a cost of over 100K. So I'm pleased to say it's done. Lots of weekends spent, but it's in place. We have a current grant which we were able to get from FCM, and it's 50,000, and they're subsidizing our time up to 25, and so I have to do a set of reports for that. I'm hoping to do it by the end of the year, but might not happen. So get that grant and get, the reports are ready to submit to them. They have some deliverables. Those are all part of submitting. So now I'll switch to the mapping end. And this includes mapping for the public, which we'll set up at some point. It also includes a data entry interface, data capture interface for cell phones, for the Public Works. So instead of buying purpose-built tablets, I set it up so that it could work on any cell phone, which required a bit of work to make it work on any model make of a cell phone. But it prevents us having to buy tablets which will get broken, which would, all sorts of things. And the end point is hoping, because this is a change, is that Public Works start recording repairs, starts recording. Then we get better data, and then we can see how the assets get a better condition assessment of the assets if that consistency comes. So that hasn't happened yet. Like, there'll be some training required for Public Works meetings and the feedback. But I'll pull up the mapping area now. So I'm accessing this on the cloud. Pardon me, but I won't say the password. So this is the data. It looks this way on a cell phone. If I change this to a cell phone, model a cell phone on it, it looks somewhat like that. And they can look at any sort of our systems on here. So if they wanted to see potable water, they could look at potable water, and it shows you all the potable water pipes running. These are all our water mains, all our pump stations, all our valves, all our, all of that stuff. You can click on, I'll make it bigger again. This just models the cell phone, so I think you'll see it better on a bigger. So if you click on, say, it tells you what it is. It's Zone 1 reservoir, it's a water reservoir, that's the key number. So this is the interface the public works sees, and there's a whole range of things, and they can search, there's search functionalities, they can search by address. So, if I type 215, it'll pull up everything with 215 in it. Say 215 Cliff Crescent, that's where 215 Cliff Crescent is. And if they wanted to see, let's go down, let's look at the parcel map. Parcel map, so I'm uploading parcel maps from the province, it tells you where the parcels are. They wanted to shift to, instead of OpenStreetMaps, to actual imagery, you can shift to actual imagery. It goes to a certain closeness because that's the maximum you can see. I'll just take away the parcel map. So that was the property there, that's the pipe there. When perhaps the new intern, I can rope them into putting in the service connections. So I'm already thinking stuff before the person's hired. So that'll help us, one of the biggest questions is where's my service connection? If the public can access that, they can see where the service connection is without having to call us. Another thing is where is the address? And that lets you search the address. This is the public works interface. So the public interface is a little bit different. This one is, you can search cemetery, and so one of the big requests was a cemetery system, organize that. When I looked for commercial stuff, in the range of 25,000 and probably 4,000 or 5,000 a year. So went ahead and developed our one. So you can search by name and it'll tell you where the cemetery is. And 1 second, I'll just pull it up on this. That's a cemetery. I'll switch to OpenStreetMap so it looks, and that's the one where that person was. So some people are looking at genealogy and they want to look at where somebody is. On the front desk, the staff can go search for things. It's organized. We used to spend hours and hours looking for people because we inherited it from a non-profit, and there's years of data and there's hundreds of names. Yeah. It would take them hours to find things. They can just go in now, search by name, and there it is. And Public Works can look at this and go, okay, this is the place I'm actually. And if you click on it, it tells you like everything else. The actual designation, ID 85, block X, row K, plot 4, family plot, name, date, reserved intern, and anything else they want to track.
What are the green spots?
What are the green spots? Those are multiple people in one. So if I click on that, it tells you who all is in one. So when it overlays one on top of the other, it makes it darker, I guess, right? So they have family plots A, B, C, D up to F. Whoops. So that's the public interface. What happens is, what this is primarily for, and I've put a fair bit of thought trying to design this, is that they can record repairs and inspections really easily. So all they have to do is, they want to repair on, say, that hydrant, they will just press and add doesn't want to do it now, but because I've got this coding open on the side, and I put a marker there, right? And that then at the bottom you see the repair, inspect, pop up, and files pop up. So if they want to do a repair, they can go into repair, and this is very simple interface. They can filter by what they want to repair. So we were looking at potable water, we were looking at a hydrant, so it'll search for anything, it'll search for 10 closest things automatically from the database by location. And so the hydrant was the closest thing. So that popped up. It'll automatically fill the components. So they might be, like a building has multiple components, so you can choose that. In a hydrant's case, it's one component, I haven't broken it down. And then they can say that what's the repair type, what the description is, press insert, and I'll say this hydrant blew up, get it fixed. Right, and I press insert, record added. So immediately it's gone into the database, it's put a date stamp. I could have even put a person stamp, but then they'd have to log in, so I had that functionality, but I pulled it out. So I try and get feedback, right? Initially when I started out, I put in too many features. Now it's simplified. Simplification, I think, is harder than trying to put stuff on in some ways, right? So that repair is recorded, right?
Brian's not gonna show up in a minute.
No, I'll clean up this, right? Initially we'll be playing around and doing a fair bit of, and they'll ask for things. So if they wanted to record more things, I have lots of space to record. And it actually appears on, you could go on the website and it'll work on your cell phone. Right, so that is the big, so they can take photos and do anything.
So basically it's building history of that item, like in this case.
Exactly.
Or a hydrant. I think
Exactly.
brought up.
And for example, fire hydrants have some compliance requirements, flow rates that need to be measured, flushing and all of that. So that makes it easier to record that, and that's in the inspection area. So I keep looking at the big screen and trying to move the mouse rather than on the inspection side, you can choose the assets and do inspections.
So I noticed there's no date on it, but it would record a
It
date.
will immediately dates timestamp right away. So you don't want to ask for entry when you can avoid it. So as much as possible, everything is drop down, choose, and click. So as simple as possible. So some thought went into design. When I do intend to have feedback and sessions with Public Works, and it's a change for them, recording them rather than paper on the, no, please, yeah.
And so, can it be edited after? So it's accepted it, we've inserted it, and it takes that date.
Edited
Let's
at the
say-
office,
Pardon?
not on the field, but in the office we can edit.
Oh, okay.
So there has to be some control
So
on
if there
that.
was an update to it, maybe they wouldn't enter it until it's been complete then?
Yeah, so they have to fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, it goes in, but say they made a mistake, they can say, oh, okay, this repair, we recorded something on the wrong side, on the wrong asset, and then we fix it. But that functionality I removed from the cell phone because it was complicating things. Right now, if you start repairing it, you can choose. So it puts a little bit of control. The supervisor can change it in the office.
Nice.
So good question. And then there's a files interface where you can select files, choose files, and upload. Insert puts it into the database and on our servers. You have to actually bring the cell phone and upload it. Upload to the cloud, uploads it to the cloud, but it's in red because it costs us money to upload to the cloud. So that is for things like, which I should show you next. So that's the interface for Public Works. Now what I'll pull up is the interface for I can't remember the name now. Public PHP. Sorry, I have to do a little bit because I haven't put a link to it. There is a public map, and if I could remember I'm not on my computer, but it's not, I haven't put a link to it, but there's a public map as well as and I want to find tourist map. Let's try that. So what you saw, a limited set of that will be available to the public. Of course, they won't have terrace and